Well, it's working. We can go ahead and start. I just
Okay.
want to get,
All right.
it just makes me nervous when I don't have it, but we can go ahead. We can.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the City of Clewiston Budget Workshop to order.
Watch this live and type something in while I'm watching.
Okay, Sherry,
Are we on live?
we're here tonight again to continue reviewing the budget. I believe we have utilities, electric utilities. I'll just turn it over, electric transmission first, so I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yes, tonight, we're going to go over our electric and our water sewer. We'll be starting with our electric. And we're presenting to you a proposed budget tonight of $11,725,889. The revenues, you won't find them there. I will get them to you. I can send them to you via email tomorrow. I didn't get them printed out, but just so you know, they didn't change by any great significance. We ran our 5-year review and averaged it out, and we actually tweaked it down just a little bit, but it's not like maybe 1%. What that, because as you know, we rely on our general fund transfer in support from the electric. It's based upon our budgeted revenues. We budget 8% as a transfer to our general fund, so we're really kind of particular to make sure we don't want to overstate it. And based upon our 5-year averages, what we saw and what we have been seeing trending with it, we're pretty much on target. We're a little low in our residential, but it's basically on target. But we just felt like we wanted to really use that average, and we tweaked it a little bit. And what that represents is like basically a $15,000 decrease in support to the general fund, and that's why we did it.
Okay. And
So-
Sherry, what was the amount of the budget again? 11 million?
$11,725,889. And I'll give you the sheet. I didn't get this printed out for you guys, but I will send it via email.
Okay.
Make sure you get
Sure, I
it.
got a question for you, just a simple question. So you're saying that our sales have been pretty much the last 5 years they have stayed the same, or they have been gradually decreasing? I know that we've had some.
No, sir, that's not what I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay, but that's my question, and can we answer that? And I know that we lost some usage, maybe through commercial, the big people, maybe, I don't know how, through the mill when
But
they
you just
went.
said we're up on commercial.
So we're up on commercial, but lower on residential. And
Yes,
and
but not even a lot to speak of.
$15,000 for the year.
Well, what that represents is to the general fund.
Okay,
And
okay.
we tweaked our revenues, and I was getting to that point, and I will get it out to you. I just felt like it was important to do that, since we do talk about our transfers and how we base it on our budgeted revenues.
Right.
I didn't want to overstate it. So that's what I'm talking about. But since I've been a part in calculating the revenues for electric, the initial year that I did this, we went back 10 years. So that, and just to look at what everything was doing, that's what I was mentioning it.
Do you want to
And
true
so-
up the actuals versus
Right.
the averages that we were given in past budgets?
Yes, sir. And then yes, ma'am. And then I just made sure that our percentage, as it relates to our cost, that our percentage was the same when we budgeted, that we keep as far as the cost of what electricity cost us, because that's our product. So that's what I'm talking about. I went back 5 years. So the last couple of years, I go back 5 years, and all of us agreed. I talked with Lynn and with Danny both, and we really haven't had any significant factors like fuel costs, that would go up to cause it to rise.
Spike.
So
Okay.
that's what
that-
I meant.
Did
So
that answer your question? I mean, it's not.
and I know, like, when the Hampton comes on board, that should be a plus, right? I mean, I like the word trending forward with our sales. When I say sales, like, for lack of a word,
Right.
how much power we sell, to our
Well,
residents
and there's,
to our business.
right.
Which
And there's
is-
some residential places going up as well, so,
Yes, sir.
okay,
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
all right.
right. So, and that's what Danny, and correct me if I'm wrong, but our industrial sales, we kept the same, but as Danny says, we can't we can't rely on it. It's really not. We've got 800,000 budgeted, but we're really not, and we're doing well, but we don't really know how to gauge that. So, as I said, this budget is $11,725,889, and having talked about the revenues, we will utilize $374,074 in reserves budgeted. That's the budget that we're proposing tonight. So if we want to get started on the first department, which is the very first set of sheets that you have before you, that's our electric transmission. And what that represents is 10%, it's basically 10% of the cost of the budget that's utilized by our the line workers that repair the lines in the substation. It's 10% of their budget. So we have this department. The reason why we basically have it and we separate it, we've got transmission and distribution, and we split it out so that if we ever have a rate study, we have to be able to allocate a certain amount of expenses for transmission. So this budget has been reduced because, as you guys know, we sold the McCarthy substation, and any of the costs that were attributed to McCarthy came out of this, or this was the budget that we did that. So we had telephone, we had utilities, that type of thing. So we reduced the budget, and that's why you'll see a 5% decrease as we took those expenses that we're not going to realize anymore. We took them out.
Okay.
Okay, and so the total personnel, you'll see, is 10% of our line workers, the linemen. And it shows an 8%. And what I want to say to begin with is this budget, all of these budgets have been built with the insurance estimation that we were expecting. So what I have to do is go back, and I did not have time, but I'm going to have to go back and correct all of the budget. So we will see some reduction in this. I did want to say that. So the increase in the benefits will not be as bad. But I would like to point out that Danny, as he is requesting out of this budget a staff revision because he has a groundman. Out of the 6 workers that we have in our line crew, we have 2 of them that are currently considered groundmen. And we have a gentleman that has been going to school because every year they have the school that you can go to so that you can become a certified lineman. And this gentleman has completed 3 years, and although he's not a full lineman at this point, Danny feels that he has taken over a lot of the responsibilities that the linemen do, and he's actually stepped up, and he's more than a groundman. Not quite there as a lineman, but what he wants to do is revise that position to an apprentice lineman.
Okay.
And so that would be what that would represent in total cost of salary and budget is $8,154 between the 2 departments. For this budget, it's $812. And if you look down where it says personnel and the variance explanations, you'll see that he wants to move this gentleman from a grade 8T to a 12S. So he would be considered an apprentice lineman. And hopefully he will get to the point he'll be a full-time lineman. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, it's
Dan.
Justin Edwards. He's gone above and beyond. I mean, he's in the bucket. He's working as a lineman. The lineman will stand on the ground and talk to him, but he's taken above and beyond. It's unreal what he does. He went to ground school, and he was rated probably one of the best they've seen come through. So that says a lot for him, and he's been very, very helpful.
That's great
It's
news.
like a lineman going out. You got 2 linemen when he's on call.
Well, Dan, how old is he?
He's probably, I'm going to say he's early 30s, late 20s, early 30s.
Late
What was it?
20s.
Dan, we experienced that outage the other night.
That was
on my
him.
block, and he was on that bucket truck.
Yeah.
And didn't get real close, but I was close to where the action was at. And
Yep.
I was impressed how he how he tied that line back together.
I mean,
And within an hour, that whole block was
Yep.
back up,
Yep.
running again. And
he's
that,
troubleshooting.
and that
He's,
was a major,
Pride.
major
Yeah,
runs
problem.
equipment.
taking pride, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But, you know, we can say that about all your people. That's a
Oh, no, they're a
compliment
great
of
crew.
people
I-
coming up in your system that is positive.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the fact is, Danny, and I know this has been going, that you made sure that ongoing training
Oh, yes,
is critical,
yes.
and I'm so glad to see that they were making sure that they're continually learning. So,
Right. Well,
He's very happy to be working for
He
the
seems
city.
happy.
He's
I
happy
think he
working
is.
for
He's-
Tanny,
I
yeah.
think he understands, and I think he sees where these other gentlemen have left and want to come back. They do want to come back, a lot of them.
yeah.
It's going to be hard to compete with these guys. But I can't say enough about them. The way Mike takes on his responsibilities in substation, you know, when we first got here, we had no one that worked in the substation. Now we got a guy that'll tell you about the substation and troubleshoot it. And we've got him in that training. So, we're moving forward really, really well with the electric crew. And I just want to bring up, I know they got recognized tonight, but you think about it, since Irma, we've had no outages, none. And look at the lightning, and look what we used to. I know, I understand. I'm trying to make it up for all the water sewer problems.
That's like going over to the cop shop and saying it's quiet.
Oh, don't mention that word.
I can't say enough about them.
Yeah, no. And we really
it's like
appreciate 'em.
today, an engineer came out, we're looking to improve our system, our voltage, to clean our power up. Our capacitors that are out there, we're looking over certain things, trip savers that's gonna help our system. Got free help again today that came out and is evaluating our system. They took some readings from our feeds. So that's some of the things we're doing too. We're trying to reduce the blinking lights and those type of things, but we've come a long way.
And I'll tell you, the other night when we had that electric storm and it was popping, I made a comment on social media about it's really wild out there. And my phone rang immediately and was somebody calling to say, I don't even go to get my flashlights out anymore. I'm not worried about it. We're not losing power. People recognize it.
Yeah, it's good that they do.
Yeah, and please
They
share
sure
that with
tell
the the guys. You know,
Oh,
with
I
the
do
team.
every day,
Yeah.
pretty much. Or
Yeah.
when we get together, and we'll get together for a lunch. We'll
Yeah.
present.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Okay, Sherry.
Okay, so if we go down to operating, which is the next set of, the next row, you'll see contractual services where we have reduced that budget. Before, we had a planned $55,000 contractual services. That was to take care of the McCarthy substation. So what the staff has done is if you'll notice, they've moved it down to repair and maintenance. And they have a specific maintenance project that they're going to be doing this year, and it's to the transmission lines, and there's a need for them to replace the insulators. So that money has been transferred to be utilized for that maintenance project, and I don't know if they want to say anything about that, but
That again, that's our transmission lines that come from McCarthy that feed Clewiston. And we got A side, B side, and they've been in since 1989, and they've never been serviced. We've had a stinger wire fall, twice, about 5 to 7 spans. So we've had that repaired, but then we had a company come out and evaluate our feeders, and he said our insulators definitely need to be replaced. So we're doing one feeder this year, and we'll of course budget for next year. But that is where we get our source.
Right.
So it is
It has to be-
crucial, and it's got to be maintained.
That has to be maintained, absolutely.
Now that we're talking about the McCarthy station, we have our checks in the bank, right? Our checks
Yes.
from them, it's in the
yes,
bank.
sir.
Look at that smile.
She didn't.
promise.
She didn't even tell me.
And that's the money, and
promise.
that went straight to the reserves.
Yes,
And-
sir, it did.
And of course, eventually, we're gonna have to use it to reinvest in the system. I mean, that's what's, we
As
gotta,
Your
we gotta
reserves,
maintain.
electric reserves have been built pretty good. When we got here, with her help, it's increased quite a bit.
I know we're budgeting, what, 300 and what this year?
Well, the use of the
74.
reserves, but what we have tried to do the last couple of years, out of this budget, and we just haven't gotten to it, we have a standard transfer to reserves that we try to keep built into the budget, because we want to be able to do that, so the best way to do it is to show it.
Budget.
And so we have a normal transfer to reserves of $100,000 that's in this budget.
In this budget right here.
Right, that's in
And
the
it-
budget that you're looking at, the sheet
Yeah.
for the
And
transmission.
it was in last year's budget as well.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So other than that, as you see the specific maintenance project, the operating budget was actually decreased for this department, and again, that's because of the expenses that we no longer need.
Okay, so it's a 5% decrease for this,
Yes.
for this Department 2009, the electric transmission.
Right.
Is there anything else on that you guys would like to add? Okay, all right, next one is Department 2010, electric distribution.
Yes. This is the distribution, and again, what this represents is 90% of the budget that's utilized by the line workers. This is where they actually, again, these two departments that we're going over right now, that's where they actually, all the materials they utilize, all the projects, all their salaries, it all comes out of these two departments, and this represents 90% of what they do. Okay, and you'll see, again, the staff revision, because 90% of the gentleman's pay is in this department, what we went over with regarding the apprentice lineman stands the same for this budget. Now, in the contractual services, you will see that it has significantly increased. Last year it was $62,000, and this year, Danny, the staff is asking for $125,000, and that's because, as we talked about, we do want to use some reserves, and because they have some maintenance projects that they have to take care of in regards to the lines, but the Clewiston substation. And so this is for contractual services and includes engineering for scoping of the projects and updating some of the drawings that they need, and for some work at the Clewiston substation.
Okay.
Operating, nothing significant there. It all stayed the same. Now, repair and maintenance, you'll see an increase there. And that is, again, the $130,500 increase that you see from last year. That is because they do have planned and increased projects for maintenance of the poles, towers, overhead lines, and the Clewiston substation. They have repairs planned. And you guys might want to speak about it. I don't know. He's got like a T1 transformer, T1 inline breakers, the junction box replacement, and switches, and it's something that they needed to take care of.
The inlines are a dire need of replacement, and plus the maintenance on the transformers. We've got to get that also. And we got some switch work to do in the substation where they've burnt out. So quite a bit of maintenance on the substation needs to be taken care of.
Danny, let me ask you a question. When you come on board and there was 100+ transformers hanging all over the city of Clewiston, we took those transformers down and stored them where?
Warehouse. And we sent some back because we were overloaded. 25.
You could send them back and they would give you credit?
Yep, get money.
Really?
Yep. The ones they kept, Florida Transformer, they come and get them, and we get credited for them. Yes. Doing that, that's a new transformer. When you put it online, usually it's like a 1% loss immediately. But the bigger the transformer, the bigger the loss.
Bigger the loss.
But when they've hung out there for so long, I mean, like we took a 3-pot bank down that used to serve where the Hampton is, where U.S. Sugar Security used to be. We had a 3-pot bank that was working a red light. So, I mean, there was a lot of, and it's been sitting there forever, but it worked that security office. So we just downsized that to a small, 25. But those are the type of things we found, like down at the meat market on Margaret Street across from the east side, west side. You had a store with the fish house with a big freezer,
Yeah.
a 3-pot bank that was just hanging there, and then you had that little store that came in. So those things is what we removed, and then just throughout the community, we've taken
So
down.
you assessed it all?
Yes.
And realized where it needed to be
Yeah.
updated?
And plus, we had like where behind Al's brother's building, he had an MRI trailer, and there was a big, huge, like 500 kVA sitting there. It'd been sitting there for years, and we removed those type things. So we had those quite a few throughout the community, and yeah, it increased our transformer as far as warehouse stock. but we did send a lot back, and of course, we get credit for,
And it also decreased line loss, right?
yes.
Oh,
Our line loss
absolutely.
has gone down.
Big.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're number one in
Huge
line loss
decrease, right?
in FMBA.
Yep, so, yep, that was a big thing, and they still find things. We got, again, that's a thing we're fighting now, which should be part of our maintenance too, in the or distribution is underground. We got a lot of underground that was direct buried, and that's, it's starting to create problems, and line loss, that's line loss when it burns. So we've taken like Fairgrounds, Trail Park, Everglades, in that area where a lot of it was direct buried, and we're having a bore crew shoot pipe for us, and we're pulling new lines. So little by little, we're improving those places.
In other words, you're putting them in conduit.
Yes.
Dan, if I understand right, a lot of the maintenance is done by your people.
Yes,
by
we
your
do a lot
staff.
of in-house. That's
I mean, this is not, you don't contract all of the maintenance.
none
I
of
mean,
that. None.
you
Zero.
So you do a lot of that in-house too.
Yep. They're tree trimming.
Obviously,
they're
that
doing.
saves us
Oh, yeah.
a lot of money.
Yep.
Uh,
Well, I mean, we priced out, FMPA is looking to everybody to join tree trimming, and they're looking for you to budget like 200, and I think, what was it, 25 or 250, somewhere in that neighborhood, if you want to be a part of that. It would be nice, but again, they stay pretty much on top of it. They'll take a day to trim trees or every other week. I mean, they got a lot for a small group. They're a lot. Then in the pole change outs, which again, it showed in Irma, I think, we got around 1,600 poles. We lost about 8. 2 of them was behind hair lumber due to a roof. We lost 2 to trees, and we lost 2 that was on the change out list. So he had changed, from those days. I mean, Mike, the supervisor, he said they used to use a bundle of poles that last years. They go through 4, 5, 6, 7 bundles a year. This year they've been slack because we've tackled, because again, we're small.
Right.
We tackled underground because that's a big thing. It's another line loss issue. So that's what we've kind of targeted mostly this year.
Okay. And I think all that pays off, just a
Yeah,
constantly
yeah, it's
annual
gotten- I think-
improving and maintaining and upgrading is critical. Okay, so the next one is capital.
Yes. In the capital, you'll notice a decrease, and that's simply because last year, included in our last year's capital budget, was $120,000 for a small bucket truck that we got. So this year, actually, you'll see that the capital request totals $165,000. $35,000 of that, Danny is requesting a half-ton pickup truck with a utility bed, and that is the truck that's driven by the superintendent. He's asking for that. And also, it goes hand in hand with the contractual services and the repair and maintenance. They are asking for $130,000 in capital, which typically we do for capital projects for the lines and the towers and fixtures and transformers. This is something typical that we budget. We had 120 last year budgeted for the capital projects. This year they've increased it by 10,000, so it's $130,000.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
The truck that was stolen,
We got it back.
I understand you got it back. I also understand that it was stripped.
Well, they took some tires and a battery and a crane, basically, and tools. We got the tools back.
Was that your truck or was it?
Water, it's a water truck.
Water truck, okay. So we'll see that later on.
Yes, we're just getting a crane because that truck still runs. It's a good truck. It just got a motor probably 2 or 3 years ago in it, and the body's fine. But it came back. It was okay. It can be back in service.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the total capital improvements under this budget is for electric distribution is $130,000 for this year to cover the capital maintenance increase as well as the half-ton pickup.
Yes, it's actually totals $165,000.
Oh, sorry, $165,000. Okay.
And also within this budget is the second reserve that we budget, standard, that we've been budgeting the last few years is $50,000 transfer to reserves. So all in all, we try to include in the budget $150,000, just to make sure that, that we are doing it.
Okay.
So that's all I have for the
Distribution.
distribution budget.
Is there anything else on that, Danny or Lynn? No? Okay,
I'm good.
thanks. Okay. Purchasing Warehouse Department 2015.
You'll see this budget is an increase, and it's mostly increased because of the insurance. Again, that will get changed, so that's gonna decrease there. This budget totals $77,572. And again, the total personnel showed an increase of 8%. That is basically due to the, us budgeting for the insurance. And again, it will go down. Now, what this also has, there's actually, other than one item, there's nothing of, to note except for, Danny hopes to implement an online electronic purchasing tool that will link our purchasing to vendors for quotes so that he can utilize that and get the best savings. And I don't know if he wants to say
Yeah,
anything
this
about
again is
that.
recommended through FMPA, basically. This is where it comes from. And what it does, it opens up, like if you want anything, a transformer, whatever, and then that way they look online and you get your quotes right there. So they give, actually, the sales reps told me they give better pricing on this.
Okay, because it's through FMPA.
Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
everybody from everywhere drops in on you. And
Okay.
we just.
This could possibly pay for itself in one purchase.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And tomorrow, I believe it is, correct me if someone will be here from FMPA, so we'll get an opportunity to speak with them, because I really don't, I mean, I understand it, but she's gonna come and talk to us, and we're gonna make sure that this goes hand in hand with our purchasing policy, that it
Okay.
works with it
Great.
well. So that's what we hope to achieve tomorrow.
What time?
I have an email. I haven't even looked at my email today, so I have, when I'll be here, I
You have
know.
the time.
What do you have the time?
She's coming to meet with Miguel first and do a training with him, and then she's got Sherry's contact information, so those two can, whenever they're both available, they're gonna meet in, I think, Sherry's office. So it's kind of fluid at this point, but
Ow.
she's coming down, so.
Okay. Coming down from Orlando, is that? Okay, all right.
And then we did see an increase in our repairs and maintenance, but there's really nothing we can do about that. What that represents is the support that we have to pay for our fuel and our inventory programs. And we just, when we were reviewing this information, we noticed that it was increased, the cost of it, and so we made sure that the budget was in line with that.
Okay, and that's the fuel and inventory software support.
Yes.
Okay.
We actually pay an annual fee for the support for those.
Okay, anything else on that budget?
With meter reading, we are looking at smart meters again, and we've dealt with several companies. I think it would be a good way to go. We've dealt with Irby, we're looking at Verizon, and I'm a big fan of the phones, because one of the issues I see, and I think South Clewiston just went through it with smart meters with FP&L, because they've got a network of repeaters. They had an outage, and it showed all the meters were up, when in fact the whole area was down. And I think when we look at Verizon, the way we can get into this program is very cheap. It's like a $25,000 base fee to be into their hosted solution. An issue I have with Verizon is their meters, we buy the meters, but then with their software and hardware that we use, we pay a monthly fee of like $2 and some change. I got to find a way to absorb that. But I feel real strongly that this is the way we should look and go, because I'm having a fit with meter readers. I got one guy that's out now. I mean, that's not his fault. He's sick. I'm trying to get a part-time, but I'm struggling with a meter reader now that's reading. And it seems to get harder and harder to find people that's willing to do this job. at our pay. But again, with Verizon, it goes through their LTE network, which it's your phone. There's nothing to put in the field but the meters themselves, which we can do because we do it little by little. One area I was looking at was like around 900 meters, and we can install those ourselves when we go out. We can assign 2 or 3 guys, a line crew, whomever, to install them, so that'll be a savings. But the first phase that we were looking at was 200 and some odd change, $200,000, and I don't think there's anybody that can compete with it. They're going to come meet with us next week, but again, I've met with Irby and a couple of other companies. We've actually set meters out, and what's nice about these meters is you can look again during storms. That's on your feeders. You can see and watch them stay up, and study what's going on during storms or whatever. And again, it would help us when our guys go out. What they have a lot of times, they'll get a report that Philip Rowland's out of power, and they'll go out there, and then come to find out the whole block's out. But so you go through, you find the problem, and then all of a sudden there's an individual that's got another problem. Well, we don't know that unless they call. So they assume, with it, say the block's out, that somebody's called in, they'll get me going. And we get a lot of callbacks where, you can ride and look and see the lights and, street lights, everything that comes on in that area. Okay, they're up, but somebody may have something, in their home or whatever. So this will help you. These meters will monitor. You can do the reconnect, disconnect. You can do it from your phone. So if you got a guy on call, they get a ticket, somebody's after hours needs to be reconnected, you log into your phone, you log into it, find a meter, you turn it on. So I think that's pretty awesome. Again, I'm not going to put you in a situation where it's going to cost the city money, but I think that is the future. Yeah. And we have every year I've been here, we've worked on smart meters. I've just not been impressed because of the technology's new. It's like Leesburg's had a ton of problems. Actually, it's cost a couple of directors their jobs. Again, like FPNL, the outage they had here. I mean, you're going to have problems, but I don't like the network as far as the repeaters. Because again, what's going to happen, it's going to create where JD's got to go out and get in a bucket, and that's going to tie up a bucket truck. We're going to troubleshoot repeaters because we are in the lightning capital of the world here in Clewiston.
I guess for my feel good, when you feel like the technology has been perfected and there's other cities out there that are, have the smart meters and they're working like they're supposed to.
And it doesn't put us into debt.
Right, and the prices come down. It's not wildly
but there's no
expensive
doubt.
like it was.
There's no doubt that you can tie this in to the customer.
Yes.
Customers, when we don't have meter readers, they're not happy.
Yeah.
They are calling every day about where they're getting overcharged. They're paying for
Because
too many days.
Yep.
And to me, anything that ties into that customers, we got to have customer satisfaction.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, we have to look at this as something that we're going to have to need in the very
And
near
as
future.
Danny says, he's been looking at it every year. And as we all know, technology changes so rapidly.
Yeah.
That's the
And
problem.
Danny, you mentioned Leesburg, but I guess you and Lynn probably have heard stories from the other FMPA cities. Is there one that you know that some of them are using that seems to be better than or is it just everybody's kind of on their own, figuring out what they're
Kind of
doing?
on their own. They're different companies. There's 2 or 3 cities that use them, but I think Ocala, I can't remember. They might be.
How about
And Leesburg and Ocala, they're huge compared to what we are.
Right.
Yeah.
How about FPNL? Who do they use? I know they've gone to
They're all a smart meter.
Yeah, they've gone to that. I know they've.
I'm
ended
not
up-
sure.
Well, that's the one thing that, it's commendable that 2 of the people that really voted against Honeywell are sitting up here today, and that being Molly and Julio. But listen, if y'all would have succumbed and Honeywell would have got in here, especially the first time.
Honeywell passed, right?
No, I mean,
They passed. They're the ones
it
that-
was a 3-2 vote.
Yeah,
we didn't succumb to it.
No,
They voted for it.
If you
but-
let me finish.
Okay, all right.
I'll take care of the whole thing.
Okay.
You 2 voted against it,
Right.
and it was brought up 2 or 3 different times with them dressing down the different costs. The first time it was either 11 million or 13 million.
It's around 10 to 12 million.
All right, if that would have happened at that time, it absolutely would have broke the city,
Oh, yeah.
along with the industrial park. So as it jumped forward, and y'all had a vote one night when it was 2-2. And I was sitting in the audience, and I told you, Julio, I said, the vote's going to come back. What do you mean it's going to come back? I said, because a man was absent that's going to vote for it.
I think you're
And he
right.
did. At the same time, the election had been held. I ride to McCarthy with Mr. McCowan, and he told me that the Honeywell was passed, and I said, no, it's coming back. Yeah, it's going to come back with me sitting there. I'm not for it. I can tell you that right now. So that's when we get the letter from Honeywell that they withdrew.
Their attorney rejected
Right,
the deal.
right.
Because
Their
the
attorney.
the savings
Their
that they
attorney.
were,
Their
the
attorney.
savings
Their
that they
attorney.
were promising was not, it wasn't coming to us. And then we
Right.
would have been broke. That's
So,
right, that's right.
But-
so as you can see, we're very shy about
I understand. That's
smart
what I'm saying.
meters.
That-
But we
Right,
understand.
and I'm scared to death of
11
it.
million to
I can
25,000
tell
you.
buy-in
Well,
to Verizon.
And I think
So-
that we have to look at, that it is happening. It's usually the larger, like the investor-owned utilities. We know FP&L is a huge company. We know that bigger cities are doing that, and I believe that we have to do it. But I also want to make sure we make the right decision that doesn't put us into debt, and that it's one that's it's going to be a doable solution for not just 1 year, not 2 years, but for the return on investment, that whatever it is that we're going to put into it.
Well, I want to know how long they're lasting. How long that meter lasts, a customer.
Meters, they're lasting. They're not. I mean, everything's.
No, everything's got a life shelf.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, but we'll double check.
Danny, what
on
about
this
Glaze
one.
Electric? What are they
They
doing?
use TWAC.
They use what? I'm sorry.
TWAC. They use it through the power lines
Okay.
because they're so remote. I also looked at that.
Okay. All right. So they're through the power lines. You
Yeah,
said
you
that
just-
or
they set
there's
up-
Verizon that's through the phones.
Yeah.
So there's just different options that you've
The
been.
TWAC was probably one of the cheapest. I actually had a guy price that out for me.
Okay.
It was less than $1 million because it's through our power lines, and then we just set some equipment into the substation. But I can say this: the highest price I've gotten is $1.7 million,
Wow.
water and electric. So it's
Okay.
changed. Technology's changing. So
To
we just keep,
do the whole city?
yes, water and electric.
That's a good price.
1.7.
I mean, upside,
1.7 is the highest I've
upside 13 million, original.
Right down to 3.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and and to me.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's changed. Don't be scared when we present this to you one day.
Well, and
Hit
we know
panic
that.
mode.
Right.
Yeah,
It's not this year. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you.
You better have a lot
Right. And
of
we're talking about the
answers.
future.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I know, but I'm going to be honest with you. The reason I brought it up, it was here,
Yeah.
but to help Sherry sleep at night,
Right.
we pulled that. But I just want you to know we're there.
Well, and I
We're-
think, and
we're
I
gonna
want,
be working
and
on
I
it.
appreciate that you're doing through the due diligence of getting it done, and looking at all the options. Whether it's the telephones, whether it's the power lines, whether it's a different solution, that we're really going to look at making the best decision for the city.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, like as he said, it has a reoccurring cost every month, so we just want to make sure when it's presented that all of that's taken into consideration
Okay.
methodically.
this
So,
next week.
Thank you, and we appreciate you guys are handling that.
so that being said,
We
that's
got a
the
lot
next
more
department
pages.
that we were on.
Oh yeah.
We
I'll
were
shut up.
we were on meter reading.
Okay. So it's a
And
decrease
so-
of 38%.
It did, yes, and that's because there was,
Capital.
our handheld meter reading system was budgeted last year. It's not this year. So other than that, really and truly, there is nothing other than normal operating costs. that go into this budget.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any questions, but it hasn't changed. No smart
No,
meters yet, no anything.
I appreciate the conversation on it, though. Okay, next one is Department 2030, Customer Records.
Yes, this is our customer records. And really, it didn't change a whole lot. Down at the bottom, the end result had an increase of $1,907. So the budget this year, and this included within this budget is our power cost. So that's why it's a significant amount. The budget for customer records this year is $9,043,042. Total personnel, you'll see a 5% increase. Again, that is with our insurance in there. It'll be tweaked and it will decrease. We had a slight increase in the salaries, and basically that's due to one of the employees received the Employee of the Year this past year. And as part of that, as you know, they do get some extra merits for that. Miscellaneous operating, contractual services, nothing much there. It does have a 2% increase. I did, there are some auditing services there that I just took and put in for all the funds, like a 5%, because at this point, I can't really tell you, I don't have a cost of how much the audit's gonna cost us for the coming year. I just really don't know. So that's all that amounts to, is just an increase there. Then you'll see your operating expenses. They actually show a little bit of a decrease, and the reason why is because I decreased the power cost, because I decreased the revenues a little bit. So I did decrease that a little, but that also is combined with the fact that we did increase the miscellaneous operating supplies that they utilize, because Danny he did go through that and he was looking at what was actually going on, and he just felt like that we should do that. And that's like, that could be all kinds of things, like office supplies, postage, anything that's miscellaneous that they need would go there, or any of your fees for banking services and what have you. It's all combined in there. Okay, and also built into this budget, and the repair and maintenance, you'll see a decrease. I'm getting out of line here, out of sequence. You'll see that we decreased it in half for the building. This year, the current budget that we're in, we have a maintenance project for the customer service building, and half of it is budgeted in water sewer and half of it is in electric. It's $25,000 to do some updates that he needs to do, like widen doors and that kind of thing, which he anticipates will be done by the end of this fiscal year. He's going to get going on that. But we talked about that last year. And also we have a contingency built into this budget of $90,000 to start with. And there is a capital request that's reoccurring from last year, because there was a request for some office furniture and computer, and they did not do that this year. So he wanted to keep it in the budget in case we wanted to do that for 19.
Okay.
Other than that,
Any questions on customer records?
No.
Okay. Water sewer.
oh wow.
See there?
Well,
bad.
oh,
We're not going to talk about that.
no, we need to go through one more department.
Okay.
Okay, and I apologize, I don't know
What
why
number
it's here,
is it?
and it's basically it's basically on me, I apologize. Let's see, but we will go through it, and what it is, I just wanted to let you guys know that it is the, it's Department 2045, and
Got it.
oh, here we go, it's out of the sequence, you do have it, it's right under, you are
Mine was-
strong,
mine
Miss
was in
Roland.
sequence.
Check you out, okay,
Right, mine was
I
out.
probably
I'm
put-
Okay.
impressed, Phil.
Yeah, you did have it. I was ready to go off of the screen. Okay. And this is what we call our miscellaneous account, Department 2045. You'll notice in this budget, in the total operating is $86,500. What that represents is our IT department. That's the supplies that he uses, that they use. other than something that's specifically related to a department. So he has wires, he has servers, he has things that are for every department, and
But we're
that's
decreasing.
what this is. Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
But that, I just wanted you to know what the total operating is, and that the 86,500, that's the IT budget. Now,
Right.
but yes, we are decreasing because I'm gonna have a big smile on my face. You'll see our debt service. It did decrease 7,000, but October 1st of this year, we will make our final payment on our utility maintenance facility at Public Works. It's $157,111 final payment, and then we have no more debt service there.
That's
And
a
then-
good thing.
Then the rest is the transfer to the general fund. And as you see, we were talking about it. I was going off the top of my head. I said 15. Well, it reflects $12,518. A decrease there. And I just tweaked it because we kept to the 5-year average, and it works for me, and I don't want to get confused. So that's why it went down about 1%, like I said. So
Okay.
that's what makes up the electric budget.
Okay. Okay, next.
And also, when we, we'll say that when we get to the end. We're gonna go for the water and sewer. And, what I did, you guys have a recap sheet here that just has all of the expenses on it. And I was working, trying to get the revenues. And what I wanted to say is that this budget hasn't changed much revenue-wise, because we took a look at what's been going on with our water revenues, and they have not changed much. We're pretty much on target. Again, commercial makes up for residential. We're seeing the same trend. We have not increased the revenues. The only difference this year will be that we do not have the DEP loan built into the revenues.
Okay.
That will be the only difference there. Let's see.
So we're seeing a 14% decrease on that overall for the water sewer fund.
Yep.
Okay?
Right, that's because we don't have 984,000
B, right.
budgeted into it.
You know that's your lift station, or your master lift station.
Right. And so everything's going well with the master
Yeah.
lift station?
Yes.
Okay.
With
This
the
is
master lift station
3005.
has actually probably worked on, which is good news for you guys, is the sewer plant is averaging 1.314, where you're a 1.5.
We're out of order, maybe we didn't have that one.
And so we're under capacity now, so everybody can breathe a little easier.
Where the hell
And it
is
is
that?
due to that master lift station, of the infiltration that we were taking on site there, and plus some of the repairs we've done around the community. We have repaired some lines that had collapsed in-house again. But I think what's really a good sign is when we start the I&I program, this is gonna be an indication of
I
all
don't
the
have
lift
it in there.
stations, manholes, clean outs, the piping, is really gonna reduce our flows. So we're gonna be well under, which means that we're on a good track to expand our plant with the funds working with the county.
Okay, so
That's in place. So even if we have to, it's there. But I think we're gonna be on where we're gonna be a lot less, because we definitely are receiving about 600,000 to 700,000 gallons a day of groundwater. And it indicates that. But when the master lift station went online, basically in January, in that time, because we lost the old one, our flows went down. And in July, with all the rain we had, we were at 1.3. So indication is definitely we had issues at the master lift station. So Phil, when people tell you that, hey, you're going to cause where there's not any growth, which is going to also help us with the dry line at the MedX. You know, that was one of our city engineers' concerns, is DEP is going to say you can't add commercial property because you're over capacity. Well, now we're under. So we're waiting on a letter from DEP is saying,
what I should get.
yes, so we can tell, look, once they go confront DEP with a permit saying, we want to install this dry line, it's going to be okay. So we're in good shape as far as that is.
Danny, the 600 to 700,000 of groundwater that you believe we're taking in, do you have an idea of where the problem is? You do? Okay.
Yep, right where the lift station has been giving us a fit for
Okay.
the past 2 or
Can
3
you-
weeks.
Because
right
I heard
there.
a complaint about that. Can you talk to us about that? What happened to the lift
What happened
station?
there is we took a lightning hit.
Okay,
and
so it
took
was
it
hit by
completely-
lightning
It was
Say
hit by lightning.
where? Where did we
And-
take a lightning hit?
in
It
Ridgewood.
actually,
Lift station.
Ridgewood, by Kevin McCarthy's house. I called Kevin and told him, I apologize for the inconvenience, which I know it is when you got a lot of trucks and you got waste trucks pumping and they were a little upset, and I understand, I would be too. But we took a lightning hit, it burnt both pumps up, burnt everything in the panel, it's black. And when lightning hits you, you got problems. So what happened, we changed everything in the panel, we put pumps in. I think the first set lasted 2 days, went out. We went through 7 pumps that malfunctioned on us. And we couldn't figure out why. And so what I did, I had the owner of the company send his crew, and they couldn't determine what had happened because the guy they sent really wasn't that good. But my guys ended up figuring it out. And what we found out, that they had changed some stuff in the pumps, but 2 of the pumps we put in didn't even come on. So I do have some of those invoices that we'll talk.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where our problem was. And I think what happened in the community, I was using Chris to pump it, but I was sending him to different lift stations to release it
Okay.
and into our system. I didn't want him to drive and make ruts in one side or show up at Saginaw and just because it was wet. But I had him going to Esperanza. I had him in different areas. Of course, I'm getting phone calls. What's going on with your lift stations? Well, there's nothing. It's one. And that happens. I mean, that's part of the business. And that master lift station, it had its issues. It shut down in the past. Everybody's aware of these issues that go on. And when you got a system that was built in the late 60s and nothing's been done to it, you got problems. You've allowed something to go that many years, and we've done nothing. You're probably in the best shape you're going to ever have been in when this I&I program is going to clean your system. It's done. It's coming. And it's just a steady flow of it now. It's going to clean you up, repair your lines that's never been repaired, never been lined. We may have to replace some. But like I said, in-house, we've replaced or repaired 4 collapsed lines, 2 in Harlem, 1 on this side of town and 1 on this side of town. And it's helped us, but we've done that in-house.
Yeah. Danny, how long was that lift station an issue?
The
The one that got hit by lightning.
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, granted, some of that scattered, so it might have been a little longer, but that was in that area.
So a month.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And it's functioning now? Okay. All right. Okay. And so you said that we had some malfunctioning pumps, and you're going to address that? Okay. All right.
7.
Okay.
We actually had a pump go out on another lift station, and that's why I'm saying I knew we had a problem.
With the pumps?
Most lift stations have 2 pumps. We had a pump that went out on Trinidad. We set a brand new pump or a rebuilt pump. Well, when we installed it, the wires were mashed. Well, that's not good. So when they put it in, it didn't even come on there also.
Okay.
So I don't know if the guy lost his main guy. I don't know what happened. Don't really care now because we've gone back to another. I've got quotes coming from 2 other guys.
So you're looking at other pump companies to help
We're
us
done
out?
with that guy.
Okay.
We're done.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that update. Sherry?
Okay, so again, this budget, last year it was $4,601,954. This year, the proposed budget is $3,970,645. The difference between that is that, again, the loan proceeds from the DEP, the SRF funding, those were included in last year. They are no longer. But what our current revenues, the proposed that the budget includes that we are proposing, will include use of reserves of $352,795. And what I would like to say before we go over the budget is, tonight in electric and in water sewer, typically we do have use of reserves. At the sometime before you have your your tentative budget, I will have a sheet that has, so that we will see that we are in compliance with our charter for our overall retainage of our reserves. According to our charter, it's overall, the city as a whole, and I will make sure that you have a schedule in front of you that shows that we do meet those requirements. And again, with electric, I had it prepared, but it got changed. The sheet that we talk about when we talk about the extras, you guys are gonna have that for electric and water sewer as well. But, I mean, I would like to say we really don't have a choice in a lot of these maintenance
Right,
issues
no,
that we're talking
absolutely
about
not.
tonight. And that's the whole reason we have been setting this money aside, is so that they can, breathe, and we can take care of this stuff. So that's what we are trying to do with the budget.
Thanks, Sherry.
Okay, so if you would like, we can start with our RO water plant, our department.
Okay, so that's
3005?
3005 water treatment plant.
Yes. You'll see overall, it has a 5% increase. This budget represents $1,583,708. Total personnel, there's an increase there in salaries, you'll note. That's 5%. And what Danny has done this year is, for the next coming year, the RO water plant has a staff of 3. We had 3 operators. He's revising, he wants to revise that. One of the operators will now, instead of being just an operator, they're going to also be the superintendent of the RO plant. So this revision will increase the budget for that.
Danny, can I ask you, I know since we're talking about the RO plant, I know that, for many years we were with Veolia, and then we moved in-house. And I see that it's only an increase of 5% here. But as far as the plant itself, it looks like things must be going really well.
It is, but there are some issues, I feel. And like I said, I think when I told you guys we're going to take it over, we've got to ignore the money we're going to save because we got to put it back in the
Right,
plant. 'Cause
absolutely.
this stuff's not cheap. We're having valves. There's a valve at one of the wells that's not functioning properly, hadn't been,
Right.
and it's about a $30,000 valve. When we first took over out by the injection well, DEP was on Chuck's butt for a year to 2 years to fix certain things. How they get away with that, I don't know. As soon as we take the plant, we got to do these repairs. There were certain valves he removed. There was just a lot of things. He was breaking rules. So we repaired that. To me, cosmetic means a lot. And when you drive into a water plant and you look at the pipes and they're corroded, and then you got grass growing everywhere, that says a lot about your character to me right immediately. And that's how the plant, when it looks that way, and you're just producing water, that's all they were doing is producing water. We got skid steers there that are 10 years old now, never been cleaned. Should be done once a year. Where you'll see I've had to increase my utility bill because the skid is running harder. So we've increased our utility bill. We also got some cleaners that's not working. The membranes have never been cleaned. So we're behind the 8 ball. Now, I know when little things happen, the community, obviously, it takes like it's a dry season and catches on like a wildfire. But I don't care. The thing about it is the plant is good, and we got good people
Absolutely.
there. And we're producing water, and that's the main thing. But, I mean, losing the wells, to go to that story again, we lost a well. It was not producing. My call was to take it offline and look at it. So we did, and when we took it offline, this crew, it took them 3 or 4 weeks because they had some problems. But anyway, they took it apart. The first thing they told me, it was not installed properly. And that follows through to what was going on. We were pumping water, but it was staying down. It couldn't come through. Everything was coming apart. So it ended up causing problems with the motor and the pumps. And then what happened with that said, we lost the second pump.
Yeah.
And the same reason. And now DEP, of course, says, what you have to do is look at the other 2.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, because it's the same company installed all 4.
Right.
But
So you're looking at those and also see that you have a well inspection that you're going to be doing every 5 years.
That's the injection well.
Injection
That's
wells. Not the pump
mandatory. You know
itself,
what happened?
right.
We kind of got caught that year off guard where we had not budgeted for that. So when it did happen, we budget 10,000
Right.
every year automatically because
Right.
that's mandatory. You have to inspect your injection well. Yes.
Okay, all right. And that's, it's for 2021.
Yes.
Okay,
You know, I don't know where Sherry is, but if you look, it'll show you the difference. I mean, the total, where it shows you look at 2015 to 16, and you looked under contractual services, you know, you were paying almost 600,000. Well, you went from 596, 649, 607, 209, 54, and it's just gone down ever since we took over. I mean, that's the money. You're saving quite a bit of money. But again, what you got to say, we've got to reinvest.
sure, absolutely, and
Yep.
maintain.
Yep. And then we'll get it back. I mean, you got a nice plant. I mean, it really is. But again, like I said, you know, we had to sandblast the pipes when we got there. The nuts and bolts on the basic stuff was rusting. We've got cleaning stations that are mandatory. They've neglected. We got chlorine pumps. That's causing me again to use more chlorine. And those stations, those chlorine stations, are about $25,000 a piece. We got 4, and they've been swapping pumps. That's what they were doing, not repairing them, swapping them. So we're we're behind an 8-ball situation.
Okay,
And then,
so you've got a list of what needs to be done and how we're going to
yes,
address it.
that's why
Okay.
again I think we'll see that we've asked McCafferty.
Okay.
We've put them on standby for us. And actually, I got an email from them tonight stating what Frank had found and a program what we can do to help. And the plant operator loves that
Okay,
because to have that engineer he can pick up and call. We didn't have that. We didn't have anybody on staff or anything
okay,
to be able to do this.
okay. That's good. All right, anything else on the
So-
I know we have the debt service for the
Right. Well,
bonds.
if you'll notice, the contractual services has increased, and what that is a reflection of. He's talking about the engineer that we had typically budgeted $5,500 for engineering services. This contractual services represents our lab services and engineering, anything like that that we need. This year, they increased the engineering budget from $5,500 to $25,000, and that is so that they could talk about the project and scope the projects that need to be done out with the engineer. So that's what you'll see, the 36% increase there is a reflection of.
Okay,
And then, of course, the operating expenses. Danny did a review of the utilities and the chemicals, and he felt that right now we wanted to increase them. And as you see, we've increased 16% there, and that's why your operating budget shows an increase. But we talked about it today, and he is looking into that always for he really kind of feels like it won't be that high, right?
No.
Yeah, that some of the things that he hopes to,
Well,
is
this-
what he's telling me, because that he is looking for some cost efficiencies there that he feels like he can get with some of these things that they're doing, some of the jobs that he's talking about where they're cleaning
Okay.
some things and the pumps and what have you.
okay. And this,
So-
go ahead.
And again, this has got the as he said, the 10,000 that we're setting aside for the inspection.
Okay, so that's a transfer to reserves.
Yes,
Okay, all right, so it's an overall 5% increase for the RO plant.
yes.
Okay. All right, the next one is water distribution, Department 3010.
Yes. And again, I'll not say it again, but we will be adjusting our insurance, so.
Right,
This is 3010, it's the distribution. We really, in personnel, there's actually nothing to note. We have 2 people budgeted in this department, and there's nothing really to say for that. It hasn't seen any major changes. The whole budget, actually, there's not really anything to say unless you guys have a question.
no,
You'll
it's just
notice
a
that
decrease of 9%
if
because
you-
of the capital improvement changes.
Well, we had
Capital
a truck
request.
this year. We purchased a truck. In our capital, you'll note that it came down, and that's why.
Okay,
There's a $15,000 budget in there, and that, again, is typical. We do budget that every year for the capital projects of the lines.
okay.
this is one, there are 2 meter readers. One is budgeted in electric, one in water sewer. This is the water sewer. We really don't see any changes there. They have a total budget of $39,783. And if you don't have any questions, we don't have any changes there.
Okay.
And as always, you have a packet that has all the detail. The sheet tells all the changes in the operating and anything that's additional. And included with it are all the expense lines and all of the detail that goes into those expense lines. If you guys ever have any questions that we can answer. So, the sewer plant, 3052. The next budget that we have, it will show a 14% increase. The total budget is $751,200. Your personnel, you'll see a 10% increase. Salaries, you'll see an increase there. And that is because Danny, again, has a gentleman that has been getting their education. They are now a Class C operator. They are right behind the superintendent. They are able to man the sewer plant. And also, this same gentleman is able to pull call and crossover with our distribution. And he also has him doing some additional duties with the lift station. And he feels that since he has gotten this license and has been able to run the plant, he has would like to give in addition to the normal merit for the responsibilities, increase him from a 13A to a 13D, and that's a total cost to in the expense of overall of $1,554 when you talk about the salary and the benefits together.
He's a super employee.
Yeah,
Didn't he start out as a meter reader?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I try to encourage
hard
as
to-
meter readers is,
Yeah.
you can move up. Like Miguel is in warehouse, who's doing a
Sure.
fantastic job. And then you got
I
Daniel,
love it
who's
when
going
we-
out and got his
Yeah.
wastewater license. Daniel participates on call with the water sewer guys. And one of my goals is, and this is what we have the problems, is like when we do our flushing at night water. Viola never communicated, or our guys didn't. But so what I'm trying to do is use the outside distribution guys to work with the water plant. So they schedule things and work together. And Les Garrett also does the same thing. So I'm trying to do these guys where they cross over. Les comes out. Les does both. He does the panels for the sewer, and he also comes out and takes calls for the water distribution leaks, and comes out during the day and works with them. Daniel's doing the same thing, and again, that's why I'm trying to get these guys so Daniel knows what's coming from the field, coming to his plant. He is going to do the panels also. He helps on call, and he does water leaks and whatever else during his time. He'll go at the plant. They usually start 6 in the morning or whatever. They do their 2 or 3 hours, and then they've got their maintenance of other things they do. And then but I use Daniel to come in. So I'm trying to cross these teams over.
Cross-train, okay.
So they understand. I mean, that's back where I came from. You train with everybody. You understand everybody's responsibility and jobs more so.
Absolutely.
And
Just
so
makes
that's kind of what
sense.
this is. A guy in the field's going to understand that plant.
Right.
So, and the vice versa, the plant's going to understand what goes on outside.
That's good. Will you let them know how much we appreciate them?
Now, Dan, I did notice on the contractual services, I've left off, if we get to that, you'll notice that has a huge significant increase. And correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, that you increased the sludge,
Yes,
the sludge hauling. That's
we've
what
been
that
required to
represents.
haul more. So again, we've been told by DEP we must haul more.
Okay. All right.
So
And so that's going
one
from,
of the things I'll tell you when I'm looking at, I've just started, got some articles some people sent me, and it might help us with our ball fields. I've got to see how much paperwork there's going to be, but what you can do, you can set up at your own plant to convert your sludge to dry fertilizer. So what I was thinking, if we could do that, that would cut our cost at the golf course and cut our cost on the ball fields to fertilize. So, but the problem you have with that, I've seen where I think and don't hold me to this. I think it's like it's a city on the East Coast got shut down, but I think what happened, they're too close to the water, and with all what's going on right now, so DEP shut them down. So, but I mean, there are cities doing it, and I think I'm going to look in that cost, because if we're going to increase our sludge, it's probably going to be 150,000 or more. But I think what it takes to build that, whatever we need, and again, the regulations, I don't want to get a lot of that.
So you're
Does
gonna
Lana go crazy?
research it and y'all come back
Just
with
got rid of McCarthy, and now she's going to get more work. No, but anyway, I am looking into that also.
Okay.
And I think it'd be great for us. We use it everywhere. Parks, cut down your chemicals.
Okay. Is it pellets? Is that what it is? It's they dry them and they're pellets?
No, it's powder.
Powder. Okay.
It comes a powder.
The best fertilizer we've ever had on the golf course came out of the mud pond at U.S. Sugar.
You know, when I was a kid, the mill in Moore-Haven did that, and people started noticing it stink.
Oh, yeah.
But boy, when the grass grew in, you'd drive by this yard, it'd be dark green. This in here, you could tell who got it. But I'll never forget that as a kid.
Yeah. Well, it'll be good. I'm glad you're going to look at that.
Yep.
I'm glad both of y'all are going to look at that.
Yeah.
Now, and also to note, other than that, and the sludge, the increase that you see there, that's due to the sludge hauling. Again, the capital request, you'll notice that it shows a decrease. This year, we had a truck that was budgeted in there. We do not have that, but you'll notice we do have $24,500 budgeted in it. $14,500, we typically keep that in. That's for, really, it might need to go in maintenance, but it's usually, we keep it in for spray heads, bubbler sleeves, road repair, monitoring well pump is
It's good. It's
what
good.
we're going to do. And then also, he has requested a utility vehicle for $10,000. That's also included in there. That would go on the list that we talked about, the one-page list. He has requested that, like a Gator or something similar to that.
It will be a Gator. It's going to be for spraying. It's four-wheel drive to get out and spray around the spray heads, and actually our feeder, but around. I'm trying to stop them from using their trucks to drive up around the ditches because and let the grass grow because there's piping, electric, everything underneath, and they're wearing
Talking
it
about
down.
the spray fills.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to use it for that, and plus they got a golf cart it's a piece of junk. Maybe Robbie wants.
Okay.
It's bad.
He's got no problem.
No.
It kind of goes like this when they're driving.
He's got a barn for him.
vortex.
No.
Okay, so is there anything else on the sewer plant? 3052. Good? Okay, 3062, sewer transmission and collection.
This budget represents $578,478. In your salaries, there's nothing to note there. We do have 2 people that are budgeted in this department. We don't have any significant changes there that are going on. Your contractual services, the little increase you see again is auditing. That's just me plugging in a 5% or what have you for the auditing across the board, across all the funds. Operating, we did notice that the telephone use, and Danny is going to look into that and make sure, that represents the phone service and some other things for the lift stations that are utilized that utilize a phone.
Okay.
We've increased that with monitoring systems.
Okay.
Yes.
What's happening?
So
We
that's-
monitor everything at the plant now, and plus the master lift station we've added.
So there isn't any, other than that, there's no significant increases there. Now, on your capital request, you will see, it shows that it went down. But again, that's the SRF funded project for the master lift station. We completed it this year, so we no longer have any expense with that other than the loan that we're gonna start paying on in January. But we've got that in another department that we'll get to. They do have a capital request in here. This is something that they don't have a choice with. I'll let them talk about it, but it's $240,600. And what that is 2 lift station bypass pumps, a flushing valves, and 2 portable generators. And you'll notice it's listed there for you. And that's the bulk of the capital that we've asked for this year. So if I don't know if you guys want to talk about that.
Mandated.
Well, it's mandated, but that's also where Governor Scott shot us down. Remember, we
Okay,
went.
yeah, but we made the
that was our-
request, right?
Yep, and we made it to the finals, and then we got shut down. So this is mandated to do, and it's, all cities have started. I actually started this year. I know Naples, I think they're doing 2 a year, and it's mandatory you do 2 a year. So we've got a certain amount that we have to do, which I kind of find hard the way our lift stations are set up. They're gravity fed anyway. It's like if they shut down, they're going to pick up and flow. So I don't quite understand why we got to do this, where we got to do it, but hey, they make the calls, and they've been out here. So.
Okay.
They've been out here and you've shown them that
Oh, they
they're
know our
gravity
system very
feed.
well. Yeah.
You're talking about DEP.
Florida rule, but they work with, yes, they
Okay.
come to our system, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And other
That makes
than,
no damn sense.
Government.
I tend to argue the point.
Okay.
so other than the sewer plant, we have 2 more departments that you'll see where we have, actually, they both amount to debt service. We have our Department 3063, which is the debt service for the North Side Sewer Project. We make 2 semi-annual payments every year on that, between the interest and the principal, and they total $61,880, and they are funded with assessments for property owners that received that sewer improvement.
Okay. There wasn't a separate, that was just all part of the
Well, you
3062?
have
It's
this.
on the-
Okay,
It's
yeah.
on the
I
back.
did.
Okay, got it.
And then you'll have a 3080 is just, it's a
Oh, I see,
miscellaneous
yeah.
department that we just put the principal payments that we will realize this year for the master lift station, master pump station. We will also be paying that semi-annually. The first payment will be due January 2019. Then we'll have another payment that's due in July. Those 2 payments total $21,352. I mean, $21,352, and there is no interest on that. If you
I remember that,
remember.
yeah.
That's a good
So-
one.
Yep, absolutely, great loan.
So, other than that, if you guys have any questions, we just went through the water sewer budget.
Okay. And yeah, congrats, guys. I know y'all are getting a lot of stuff done and making sure we're set for the future.
Yep, well, I mean, I think we're sitting pretty good, with the master lift station coming online, been like that for, now if it shuts down, you have, a few hours to work on it, where in the past, if it shut down, you had 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean, that's how over capacity we were, and it shows. Again, doing the master lift station did cut our volumes to
Right.
the plant, which, like I said, we're averaging 1.314, which again is opened up air glades. They can feel comfortable. But again, we've got that in place, so if anything happens, that's going to roll. And then we got the I&I program that's coming into play. It's a done deal now, and it's, USSI is looking forward to working with us. We're going to have a kickoff
And addressing
meeting.
the amount of groundwater we're taking
Amount
in.
of
Yeah.
groundwater, and so that's also going to be huge.
Yeah.
Again, also the water. If you see Mike Young has taken on the response. I know Mike's been here forever. He was recreation, and he worked for Sean forever, and he's very knowledgeable and a very hardworking guy. He's another one of these supervisors that when you ride by, he's in the hole. But he's taken on
Sometimes where there's people standing around,
yes. Well, we're like the
which
state.
I really
We
don't
have
like.
Anyway, he's been short-staffed. We got our new guy today. We won a young man. I'm kind of tickled that this kid. It's hard to find one that's worked someplace for 4 years, and that kind of caught my eye when I interviewed him, because most of them they work about 10 different places, and it's not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this kid's going to do well. But Mike is the type of guy, he's taking on these lift stations for one, and I've got Les working with him, and I've got like Mark Ezel to help him out. But he's taking it on, and he's doing very well.
That's
and,
good.
And he's keeping it running, and he's learned by a few mistakes, which that's normal. You kind of turn him loose and let him see what's out there, and he's done very, very well. And on the water, he's taken, and he's the type of guy who keeps you updated. And that means a lot.
And Danny, what I've heard tonight a lot is the training that the guys are going through, and also that
Yes.
you're promoting from within.
Yes.
And that's great news for our community,
Yep.
and the longevity of an employee learning all the different departments, so.
Yes.
So that's
Across
really
the-
good. So really make sure you thank them on our behalf. So I know that we've gone over the water sewer budget, but I know that we need another workshop.
Yes, what staff would like to do is ask for another workshop where we will be going over the solid waste and then recapping.
Okay.
And then we're asking for Thursday. Is there anything? The 30th,
Okay.
if that's Wednesday or Thursday, would that work for
Wednesday,
anyone?
see, there's the 29th and the 30th.
29th would be better.
29th works for me,
Which is
Me too.
It's fine.
okay?
Wednesday the 29th,
Yeah.
and we could start at 4 or 5, whatever your pleasure is.
Okay. And how long do you think that'll take us? Couple hours?
No,
Yeah.
it shouldn't.
Going through that list?
Well, we'll be done, but we do have to discuss the solid waste.
Okay.
So maybe an hour for solid waste?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Other
then,
than
so
that-
let's start at 4.
Okay, and
Okay.
then on September the 10th at 5:05, we'll have our tentative budget hearing. And September the 24th at 5:05, we'll have our final budget hearing.
Okay, so the 29th at 4 PM, we're going to have a budget workshop. And then we
Yes.
have our tentative budget hearing on September the 10th
At 5:05,
at
yes.
5:05. And then we have the final one on September
24th.
24th at 5:05 again? Okay,
We have the commission meetings on the 10th and 24th too.
okay. So those will also take place at 5:30 on the 10th and on the 24th. Okay, and then do y'all have a recommendation for October? Did we make a decision about October meetings since?
I think it was discussed.
Okay. But you can give us that information on the 29th,
Canceling
one of them,
the
yeah.
October 1st meeting.
Okay,
just
all right.
on the 15th for October.
Okay, all right,
That'll work.
that works. Okay, that sounds good. All right, is there anything else in regards to the budget workshop? Any comments from the audience?
Thank you all for working so hard.
Yes, we appreciate it very much. We know it's been
Congratulations.